Hey YouTube, how we doing today? So, we got a book review for you today. That's right, today we're going to take a look at a book by a man, Gregg Jarrett, and it's called The Russia Hoax, the illegal scheme to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump. So stay tuned right after we roll that intro because, man, we got a lot to talk about.
And here we go.
Alrighty guys, thank you so much for staying past that intro. Now for all you really cool kids, depending where you're watching, you should see what looks like a little channel logo popping up somewhere down below. That's our company's little watermark, but you can kind of hover over that and that should bring you right to subscribe. Now I know you guys are seeing a little bit of a weird tint over here. We're trying out some brand new lighting around the house and I figured what the heck I'd play with it while I do this video. So sorry if it seems a little off. Let's go to that one. Nah, let's not do blue. Let's not do red or green. Let's go back to this guy. Okay. So, I want to start it kind of like this. Alright, I didn't know who Gregg Jarrett was. And looking in the back of his little dust jacket, it says he's a legal and political analyst for Fox News. Now hold your booze. Alright? I have never really seen him do any interviews. I never really knew him on anything else. I just thought this book looked interesting, so I said, what the hell, let me grab it. It says he's an anchor at the network for over 15 years, but before joining Fox News, he was an anchor and correspondent for MSNBC, an anchor for Court TV, and he's a former trial attorney. Which makes sense, because this book basically is written as an attorney laying out a case for what he believes. Now, I also want to follow it up just like this. My opinions of this are based off of what's in this book and what I was reading, and all these little bits made me go, okay, what the hell? He obviously was at this for a while because this starts right when, God, how can I put it? It's back before everything was really nailed down who's going to run against who, and this was right as Hillary was coming under fire from the FBI for her email investigations. So that I found a very, very interesting spin, what he has in here. Now, his writing style, seriously, it's a trial attorney. Okay? But let's get into these little points because there's stuff in here that I went and go, okay, what the hell? Because if you believe any of this is true, it all has to be true. And I'm not talking from your political aspect, I'm talking from just a person looking at everything going on, not F the Democrats, F the Republicans, F Trump, F Hillary. Just now. Alright. So I'll admit what got me was right in the preface, he writes, they seem to believe Trump could not possibly have won absent some treasonous conspiracy hatched by him in the bowels of the Kremlin. They were convinced he was an illegitimate president. Besides, Comey and his minions didn't like Trump, the man, or his politics. They loathed him. The vaunted director who surely knew better than naive and gullible voters would be the savior of the nation. Alright. That one struck me and grabbed out because I'll be honest with you. Number one, I didn't think Trump could beat Hillary. I never ever thought he could. I seriously thought it was going to come down to Jeb Bush versus Hillary when you look at everything from the politics. I never expected him to win. And I never ever ever expected Hillary to lose. I just went, okay, so what the hell? Now we have this investigation for something that's never gone on in this country before. But right there in the preface, there was that thing that just jumps out and goes, wow. It's like he's setting the tone for the rest of his book. And in my opinion, I can kind of see it because if he's trying to lay a case why Trump's getting screwed, he has to find the bad guys in his story. Okay? So we're going to jump ahead to the next one. It's right as chapter 1 starts. And they're talking about Hillary Clinton's emails. And I had a problem with this one because I doubt it. It also appears to have been criminal. More than any other event or factor, it led to basically the end of her aspiration to be president of the United States. I don't think it led to the end of her aspiration. I honestly think she ran a bad campaign. I really, truly do. Her campaign, from what I can remember, is I'm Barack Obama Part 3. It's my time. It's a woman's time. Give me my due. That's what I remember of her campaign. And yeah, the emails hung around her neck like a freaking boat anchor, but there was always some thing for her to get out from underneath it. So, you know, no biggie. It's water under the bridge. I really doubt anything will ever happen in my lifetime. Okay? But that one I actually doubted on page 1 with his writing. I had a problem with that. Now we skip up to page 20, and it says, given all the compelling evidence of criminality, how can it be explained that Hillary Clinton managed to escape prosecution? It appears she had considerable help. This one I agreed with simply because when Jim Comey got out in front of the country and laid out everything, every email, every chain, everything is a felony count. And I'm sorry, I do not buy, well, she didn't intend to do it. And this is why I don't buy that. And he even touches on it in here. There was a sailor who took pictures, didn't know he took pictures of classified info in the back. Basically threw his camera in a lake because, you know, he got pissed off at something. They found it while they were dredging stuff, powered it up, found the pictures, arrested him, put him in jail. How many people go to a bar, get drunk, try to drive home and don't intend to kill anybody, but they do? So now you have manslaughter, drunken driving, you have all that. So I'm sorry, I don't buy that thing about she didn't intend to leak classified. I was in the service. We were given multiple briefings on the appropriate handling of classified material. That one's my personal thing, okay? But I found that funny on page 20 that basically he's saying, you know, the shadow government freed Hillary and is now going after somebody. Page 25. Had Clinton faced the same legal standard for mishandling classified documents, her ambition to serve as president would have ended. And on that I agree. Because if she'd faced the same thing as that sailor did, or other people have made simple idiotic mistakes, she should have been held to a higher standard because of how long she was in government. But she wasn't, and I've moved past that. Okay, page 38. And this is what he's talking about Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton and a whole bunch of fantastic coincidences. And this one I had a problem with. We are expected to believe it was just coincidence that former President Bill Clinton just happened to be on the tarmac of Sky Harbor International Airport in Phoenix exactly the same time as Attorney General Loretta Lynch on June 27, 2016, a scant few days before Hillary was supposed to meet with FBI officials for questioning about her suspected wrongdoing. Perhaps it was also just coincidence that 8 days after the tarmac meeting, the decision was announced that criminal charges against Clinton would not be filed. Now, guys, I'm going with how he's presenting stuff and, you know, certain other feelings. I don't believe that conversation was all about golf and grandkids. I don't. I never have and I never will. But I'm glad he put this in here, just to bring it up. Page 50. And they're talking about, you know, Clinton and the investigation. It says this was a recurring problem throughout the investigation. Everyone involved was from a small circle of professional Washington insiders who all knew each other well and have for years. It didn't matter that there was a quid pro quo. Surely it would have been possible to find someone to determine Hillary Clinton's legal status in a fair and neutral manner. Now, that one I agree. Just because of what was leaked about how, you know, the investigation was done and the interviews were done, it really should have been a kind of outside party who had no direct whatever. But still, you know, moving on. Yeah, so this is the one I found funny, and it covers something of a Lisa Page text, and she goes, yeah, it's a real profile in courage since she knows no charges will be brought. How is it possible in advance of Clinton's interview, a top FBI agent, a key FBI lawyer, and the Attorney General would all know the target of their investigation would not be charged? The answer seems clear. The exoneration of Clinton was predetermined, and the investigation was a sham. Most of America thought that. Okay, I gotta tell you guys, this is gonna be a little bit longer because we still have a bunch to get through. Just to lay out basically his high points of his book. Okay, so now he's moving on to some Comey stuff, and that chapter's called Clinton Greed and Uranium One. It would seem that three government officials saw no danger in Clinton allowing Russia to control more of the world's nuclear power supply. They later became the top three people with most. Excuse me. They later became the three top people most alarmed by allegations that the Trump campaign conspired with the Russians to influence the 2016 election. Guys, if Russia's such an enemy, such a problem, such a demon, why did that deal even go through? And that's exactly how I feel. Why did we give them control of material to make nuclear bombs? I don't get it. But it's in here, and okay. Page 88. Armed with nearly unfettered authority, they initiated and advanced the criminal investigation for plainly political reasons. Having engineered a way to spare Hillary Clinton of an indictment, they turned their attention to the only person who could halt her march to the White House, Donald Trump. Perhaps in the back of their minds, they believed in the old Stalinist creed. Show me the man, I'll find you the crime. Surely there must be something there. They reasoned. The FBI resolved to find it. Trump didn't know it, but he was about to be framed. Now, we've had a couple years, and I have to say it like this, just on this aspect alone. Everything out of the White House leaks. So much stuff leaks, it's not even funny. I cannot believe that nothing from this investigation is getting out into the public. Nothing. There are no secrets in Washington. Everybody knows something. Some staffer gets pissed off and makes a phone call. Somebody walking by an office hears something, calls a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. There's something. I have a hard time believing nothing has come out of the Mueller investigation. Well, moving on. Okay, page 98. As with any counterintelligence investigation, this will include an assessment of whether any crimes were committed. Now, that little bit right there, all right, the fact that he highlights that and he really hammers on that. So basically, they opened an investigation to see if there was a crime. Now, we have a crime, we're going to investigate you, we're going to find something. And that just made me go, oh dear God, seriously? Okay, page 108. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was forced to resign as chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee amidst her own scandal, said that contacts between people associated with the Trump campaign and Russians reeks of collusion. Ani Maxine, sorry, that's my words, not his, known for her inflammatory and overwrought statements, promised she could guarantee Trump was in collusion with the Russians to undermine our democracy. Although she offered nothing in the way of evidence, neither Wasserman Schultz nor Waters ever produced a scrap of evidence to support their claims. Not to be left out, Hillary implied that Trump colluded with the Russians to influence the campaign against her by guiding the hacking of Democratic emails. Her comment was delivered while promoting her own book, explaining why everyone else caused her to lose the presidential election. Guys, I did a review on that book. All right. She blamed everything and everyone for her losing, not the fact she ran a bad campaign, in my opinion. He's laying out a pretty good case in this book, and we're moving along quite rapidly because I don't want this thing to go forever, okay? Oh, crap. Alright, here we go. And this one made me laugh. Page 119. John Brennan did more than anyone to promulgate the dirty dossier. He politicized and effectively weaponized what was false intelligence against Trump. Brennan hates Trump. Brennan's a Hillary supporter. Brennan still hates Trump. Go look at his Twitter feed. Nothing out of the way there. Page 124. If there's any doubt Brennan is capable of such malfeasance, consider the ominous warning issued by Obama's United Nations Ambassador Samantha Power. It's not a good idea to piss off John Brennan. Brennan was upset at Trump. Brennan took it out on Trump. Oh yeah, now backstepping, sorry. Page 121, I missed one. The author of the dossier should have been considered inherently trustworthy if he was indeed the author at all. As a former British spy, Christopher Steele was trained in deception and chicanery. Reportedly, he never traveled to Russia to gather his so-called intelligence. Rather, he claimed to have had Kremlin-connected sources, even though he had not set foot in Russia since the early 90s. Given the change in leadership there during the course of more than 2 decades, I also believe this, It's highly doubtful that any of his so-called sources held important government positions or otherwise had first-hand access to dependable information. Guys, human intelligence is critical. You have to have fresh, you have to have it now, you have to have it good. Not people are still there 20 years later, especially in Russia, where, a drop of a hat, people lose their lives and go to Siberia and all that other great stuff. I have a problem with Christopher Steele. That's just me, because it doesn't pass the smell test to me. Now they're talking about Fusion GPS on 144. It says Fusion GPS has been accused of employing underhanded tactics. In advance of Simpson's appearance, the Senate committee had sworn testimony for others who claimed that they too had been victimized by prepared dossiers containing false information and carefully placed slanderous news items. Guys, go read the dossier. It's online. You can see it. That thing is disgusting. It's just unbelievable. It truly is. All right, I'm going to run through this one quickly on page 157. The Senate memo completely confirmed the findings contained in the House memo, but produced even more evidence of impropriety by high government officials. The FBI never corroborated any of the main claims in the dossier. The FBI represented to the FISA court that Steele was reliable and credible. The FBI learned that Steele was not reliable and had lied almost immediately after seeking the initial warrant. See where they're going with that? I just... Wow. So, page 173, June 9th, 2016, Trump Jr. and several others in the campaign met with a Russian lawyer, Natalia Vetnitskaya, I think that's how you say it, who came to Trump Tower under the premise of having negative information about Clinton. Little, if any, discussion about the Democratic nominee occurred during the meeting. The lawyers seemed mostly interested in pressing her case against the Russian adoptions and the U.S. should resume. So, yeah, I have a problem with everything that happened in there, and I agree. If a foreign country comes and goes, hey, look, I got dirt on your opponent, I want to get it cleared, I want to get everything good before I even put my hands on it. Just me, Guys, he's seriously laying out a hell of a case in just that amount where Trump is getting screwed. All right. And I agree with this. Today's mainstream media, on page 185, today's mainstream media is a mob as a ruling class. Today's mainstream media, is the mob as a ruling class. They assert political control by denigrating and vilifying. No act by Trump or anyone in his administration, however slight, will be spared a full-throated scandal as declared by the media. All deeds are to be treated as potential crimes or impeachable offenses. Go watch the news. Since he started running, since everything, the media wants their aha moment and they're going after him like you wouldn't even believe. Things in the Obama administration, the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration, the Reagan administration, even the Carter administration. That would have been a slight, oh guys, you're fine. We'll keep this quiet. No, this is breaking news. So, yeah. Okay, and he makes a great point on page 218. In Washington, hypocrisy is endemic and memories are fleeting. Comey's lack of integrity and defiance of the rules and principles of law were his downfall. Look what he did when he was head of the FBI. That's all I can say. His unchecked ambition and desire to thrust himself into the public limelight only exacerbated the mistakes of his judgments and deeds. Stealing documents, deliberately trying to get a special counsel, leaking stuff to the press, saying bad things about, his boss. That's all I'm saying. We're almost done with this, guys. I promise. But you see where he's going with all this. As a trial attorney, he's laying out a great case with just the stuff, I'm bringing out. Yeah, okay, well, basically, Comey broke the law by, leaking classified documents to his friend. He claims that were work memos. That means the property of the U.S. government, not his personal stuff. And I love how it says right here, it said, folly for Comey to argue they were not classified, since the FBI insists they are. If Comey deliberately mismarked them and he cannot use his own wrongful act to insulate himself from criminal prosecution. Page 268. And this one I didn't know. I didn't know that Trump was interviewing Mueller for the head of the FBI. I didn't know. In other words, on Tuesday, Mueller was interviewed by the president to become the FBI director. On Wednesday, Mueller accepted the job to investigate the president. there a conflict of interest there? I'm just asking. Okay, and I agree with this wholeheartedly on page 270. The whole purpose of the special counsel is to have a prosecutor from outside the government and outside the normal chain of command, because inherent conflicts render the Justice Department incapable of handling it. So now the special counsel is a close friend, mentor-mentee relationship with the star witness, Jim Comey, who by his own admission leaked the memos, at least in part, to engineer the appointment of a special counsel. Only in Washington, you really can't make this up. And that's so many ethical violations right there, and conflict of interest right there, it's not even funny. But the thing about the book that impressed me the most is on page 289, he closes it with, on a more personal note, I recognize my failings plainly and regret them. Like many people I've faltered in life, still I chose to write this book myself. These are my words within the pages. If mistakes were made, they're mine alone. Guys, he laid out a hell of a case within this book. And these are just the high points that I'm giving you of why Hillary was cleared to take the White House and why Trump is getting smacked around like a redheaded stepchild who stole something from Kmart. I don't know what happened. You know, this book was a little hard to read because I'm not used to reading, you know, law books and everything else. So I really had to step back on a couple pages and keep going over it. I think he lays out a fantastic case that's been right in front of our faces the whole time. You know, there's lots of things that I sit and I go, well, if Trump colluded with Russia, what exactly did he get? Because it's come out that Facebook has said the Soviet Union spent just as much anti-Hillary, anti-Trump, and anti-Bernie money. So what exactly did he really get? The Electoral College votes differently than the rest of us do, so I don't see how they hack them. You know, Trump lost the popular vote, so what exactly did Russia do? We had enough crap in the 2016 election that's still going on in this country. This is worse than Bush versus Gore, the first one. But, you know, those are my thoughts, and I read those parts to you for a reason, that he laid out an incredible case. I suggest just giving it a read, not as an us versus them mentality, but as a step outside yourself a moment and just take a look at it. You know? But I want to know what all of you think. You know, I know this one's different than most of my book reviews. I wanted to give you the high points of his case and say, what do you think? And possibly get a discussion going. Leave your questions, your comments, your hatred, your anger, all that fun stuff, you know, down below. I think it was a great read. I think it was a hard read. I think it's very interesting what he lays out and where he found facts. But, you know, with all that wonderful stuff being said, if you're a first-time viewer of the channel, I want to thank you so much for subscribing. It's a weird book. I get it. And it's a weird video. I get that too. You should be seeing, you know, a little symbol popping up in one of these two corners. And especially for you cool kids who haven't done it yet, that's going to bring you right to subscribe. After you nail that subscribe button, please go ahead and destroy the bell icon that's right next to it. All right? That's going to notify you every single time we put up a video. Now, speaking of videos, two are going to be popping up either on that side or that side. Those are going to be videos that YouTube is going to pick from my catalog that they think are going to be a great viewing experience for you. There we go, guys. Just a really, really weird book. The Russia Hoax. Give it a read. I just gave you the high points of his case. Let's see what you take from it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day today.